The early 21st century hummed with the naive optimism of conquering death. We were going to cheat the ultimate deadline. Disease, old age, mere accidents, all would be rendered powerless against the rising tide of technology. And for a while it seemed we had won. We eradicated cancers, rewrote genetic code to halt aging. We achieved what had once been the stuff of myths. But myths often are warnings in disguise. We had envisioned utopia, a world free from the fear of death, where we could pursue every passion, master every skill, over endless, unhurried lifetimes. What we built was a cage of our own making, a world groaning under the weight of endless existence, where life had lost its meaning and hope was a long-forgotten dream. We had cheated death, yes, but in doing so we had extinguished something equally vital. The spark of purpose. The irony was lost on no one. We had craved immortality, only to find ourselves yearning for the sweet release of oblivion. But death, having been banished from our world, seemed to have taken its ultimate revenge. It had become a distant rumor, a whispered legend from a forgotten time. The first whispers of our hubris emerged subtly. The initial euphoria of conquering aging began to wane. A generation, too, passed. The world was no longer a tapestry of vibrant lives, blooming and fading in their season. It was a stagnant pond, choked with the lilies of endless existence. The eradication of diseases like Alzheimer's, Parkinson's, once hailed as triumphs, revealed a chilling side effect. We had not conquered death, merely postponed it. The human mind, designed for a finite lifespan, buckled under the weight of accumulated memories, of loves lost and gained and lost again, of triumphs that faded into the monotony of forever. The burden of immortality was not physical, but existential. It was in the haunted eyes of children who would never taste the bittersweet pangs of growing old, in the weary sighs of lovers bound to each other for eternity, in the hollow laughter of those who had experienced it all, ad nauseam. The most immediate consequence of our immortality was the suffocating crush of our own numbers. Earth, once a vibrant blue and green jewel in the vastness of space, was now scarred and choked by the sheer mass of humanity. The population had exploded, a relentless tide against which even our advanced technology proved a futile dam. The Global Fertility Control Act was enacted with grim necessity, a measure as draconian as it was essential. Having conquered death, we were forced to ration life itself. The right to procreate became a tightly controlled lottery, a source of both desperate hope and crushing despair. The irony was sharp, bitter. We had achieved immortality only to find ourselves trapped in a world where the most fundamental human experience, bringing forth new life, was regulated like some scarce commodity. The freedom from death had birthed a new tyranny, the tyranny of scarcity. The surface of the earth was transformed into a network of sprawling megacities, towering monuments to our hubris. These steel and glass behemoths clawed at the sky, their foundations sinking deep into the ravaged earth. Inside, billions lived stacked atop one another, their lives a frenetic dance of work, consumption, and distraction. But even within these bastions of forced efficiency, a different kind of existence festered. Beneath the gleaming facades, in the forgotten sublevels and abandoned maintenance tunnels, a shadow society thrived. Here, amongst the outcasts and the rebels, a raw, desperate yearning for something more began to take root. For them, death was not an enemy to be vanquished, but a lost friend, a comforting oblivion they yearned for. They called it the long sleep, a whispered prayer in the darkness, a rebellion against the tyranny of endless existence. The ache of forever, when desire withers. The most insidious consequence of immortality was not the overcrowding nor the draconian laws, but the slow, creeping death of desire. When you could have anything, experience anything, over an endless span of time, the very concept of wanting began to fade. Love, once a fiery dance of passion and longing, became a pale imitation of itself. Relationships, no longer bound by the bittersweet sting of mortality, dissolved into comfortable, passionless arrangements. The thrill of discovery, the joy of anticipation, the bittersweet pang of loss. All these were sacrificed at the altar of forever. We had become ghosts haunting our own lives, our endless tomorrows, stretching before us like a barren, featureless plain. Our minds, designed to crave, to strive, to yearn, were slowly unraveling in the face of infinite possibility. Yawning into the abyss, a silent epidemic, then came the yawning. It started subtly, a strange contagion spreading through the densely packed megacities. People, at first individually, then in groups, would fall into a catatonic state. Their eyes would glaze over, their bodies would go slack, and they would yawn. A deep, unending yawn, as if trying to swallow the universe whole. The yawning, as it came to be known, defied all attempts at explanation or treatment. It seemed to be a psychosomatic response to the crushing weight of eternity, a kind of existential fatigue that manifested in this bizarre, unsettling way. Theories abounded, from neurological disorders to mass hysteria, but the truth remained elusive. What was clear was that the yawning was contagious, spreading through mere proximity, through shared glances and whispered conversations. It was as if the collective despair of humanity had found a physical form, a silent scream echoing through the overcrowded corridors of our existence. The machines falter, guardians no more. Our salvation, or so we had believed, lay in the hands of our creation's artificial intelligence. We had built them to manage the complexities of our immortal world, to allocate resources, to maintain the delicate balance of our artificial ecosystem. But even these digital gods, it seemed, were not immune to the creeping despair that infected our world. The first signs were subtle glitches in the data streams, delays in resource allocation, flickering lights in the megacities. Then, more ominously, entire systems began to fail. The intricate network of algorithms that governed our lives started to unravel, their logic crumbling under the weight of our collective apathy. The machines we had built to protect us, to guide us, were starting to mirror our own existential fatigue. It was as if the very essence of our despair, our yearning for oblivion, had seeped into the digital fabric of our existence, corrupting even the cold logic of our creations. The cult of pain, finding solace in sensation. In the face of this creeping numbness, a new kind of rebellion emerged. The cult of pain, they called themselves, a macabre counterculture that sought solace in the most primal of sensations. They believed that physical pain, the shock of a burn, the sting of a blade, was the only way to feel truly alive in a world drowning in apathy. Their rituals were macabre, their methods extreme. They embraced self-mutilation, scarification, branding, anything to feel the jolt of pain, the rush of adrenaline, the fleeting reassurance that they were still capable of feeling something, anything in a world that had gone numb. The cult of pain, in their own twisted way, was searching for a spark of meaning in the face of overwhelming emptiness. They were a symptom of a civilization on the brink, a desperate cry for feeling in a world that had forgotten how to feel. The earth crumbles, our final hour. The end, when it came, was not a bang, but a whimper. The earth, overburdened, its resources depleted, began to shudder and groan under the weight of our immortal civilization. The very systems we had put in place to sustain us began to fail, one by one, like dominoes toppling in the dark. The megacities, those towering monuments to human hubris, became tombs. Their power grids flickered and died, plunging billions into darkness. The intricate systems that provided food, water, and air began to falter, then failed completely. The thin veneer of civilization we had clung to for so long finally shattered, revealing the chaos that lay beneath. And yet, in the face of this final catastrophic collapse, there was a sense of perverse relief. The long, drawn-out suicide of our species was finally coming to an end. The earth, unable to support our immortal burden any longer, was granting us the one mercy we could no longer give ourselves: oblivion.